I think what I was finding suffocating for the last few years was my inability to, I was feeling that the space in my erstwhile party was no longer geared towards contributing positively. You have to have a platform through which you can bring meaningful change. I'm not an extremist, so I believe in fighting extremists on both sides. I don't like extremists on the right, I don't like extremists on the left. I always have believed that ideology and religion, these are boxes that divide people, that don't bring them together.
Hello and welcome to Buzz by the Bay. Our guest today is the quintessential mumbaikar. He was a member of parliament from South Mumbai for 2 terms till 2014, representing one of India's most affluent and prestigious constituencies. Fast forward 10 years and he's back in the political spotlight with a new party in a new avatar. But there's much more to him than politics. He is a person of many talents and interests which place him in the perfect position to contribute positively to a new India. Very pleased to have in the studio new member of Eknath Shinde's ShivSena and someone I'm happy to call a friend, Milind Deora.
Thank you, Anushka. Hi, Anushka.
Finally, Milind, we get you on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And it's been now 2 months since you joined.
It's been a very hectic 2 months, and it's what should I say? It was a very difficult decision for me to take.
Yeah.
But I really feel that I've landed in a good spot with good people who ultimately value what I bring to the table, value my talents, and have given me the opportunity to perform for the party, for Mumbai, for Maharashtra. These are the reasons I entered politics in the first place 20 years ago. So in some ways it's full circle.
Full circle. So do you feel like you're back in political relevance after a bit of a break?
You know, for me, I'm back in parliament. Obviously I haven't been to parliament yet.
Yes.
I haven't even taken oath as yet. But I'm back in parliament after a decade. But I was still very involved politically for the last decade. But I think that I'm happy to be involved in a way where I can contribute constructively. Yeah. I think what I was finding suffocating for the last few years was my inability to, I was feeling that the space in my erstwhile party was no longer geared towards contributing positively. Mm-hmm. And I never entered politics to, to call people names and to criticize them and to, of course, you attack people and parties and on issues.
Yeah.
But I found that the party I was a part of earlier had moved in a direction where the metrics by which you are promoted, rewarded or punished had changed considerably from when I entered politics 20 years ago. 20 years ago when I entered politics, when I entered the Congress, the metrics were what ideas do you bring to the table? What are your constructive suggestions? The metrics, according to me, were more of, are you willing to call people names? Are you willing to
personal attacks?
To make personal attacks? And if you're not, then those constructive ideas, suggestions no longer had any relevance.
Okay.
And that to me became frustrating, claustrophobic, suffocating after a while. So I think I'm in a system where, again, despite there being a lot of political attacks against the system I'm part of, my mandate is counter, criticize, respond, be proactive, but on issues.
Right.
Not on personal attacks. Going back to parliament will obviously be new. It's a new building.
Yes.
Everything has changed in a way. But it's good to be back. If you can say political relevance, I would say in a sense it's good to be back. Yes.
Well, political relevance as in contribute positively. Use your position to contribute positively. And
yes.
Congratulations on the Rajya Sabha
Thank you.
seat. And I know you haven't yet been to parliament and attended a session that will happen soon. I mean, but being Lok Sabha, right now moving to the upper house, I know you haven't been in parliament, but how does that make you feel going from Lok Sabha to Rajya Sabha?
So, my family, as you know, has been, we've been fighting elections from South Mumbai, parliamentary elections from 1980, non-stop. For 44 years, we have never missed an election. My father started fighting Lok Sabha elections in 1980. I started fighting in 2004. My late father, of course, towards the end of his political career, did move to the Rajya Sabha after having fought, I think, 7 or 8 times in the Lok Sabha.
Yes.
So, in a sense, I will continue to be active locally. I'm not somebody who doesn't have a base or doesn't have a network. I will continue to serve the people of course, Mumbai, Maharashtra and India, but there will be, South Mumbai will hold a special place in my heart.
Yes.
And if the alliance decides tomorrow that, the seat comes to ShivSena, between BJP and ShivSena, and I'm the candidate, I've conveyed this to the Chief Minister that I'm more than ready to fight.
Amazing.
So I don't know what's in store.
So I'm going to come to those issues that you're going to take up, because I know you've already taken up a few issues. But just going back to what you said, you're ready to fight. So obviously a Lok Sabha ticket is not off the table, even for the upcoming elections.
It's not off the table. So it depends on the alliance talks. It will be cleared in the next couple of days.
Oh.
And if that is something which the party decides, the alliance decides, if the alliance feels collectively that I'm the best candidate for South Mumbai, I'm more than ready to do that. I'm more than ready to take up that challenge.
Okay, wow. So you might be fighting another election. Maybe. Wow.
Might be. So
Okay.
So it really depends. It's not been cleared yet between the
Yeah.
alliance talks, but as I said, I'm more than happy to. Ultimately, I believe in what this alliance represents, and I think that if the alliance partners feel that, Milind, you're the best person, we want you to fight, then I'm fully prepared. I'm already geared up.
Okay.
So I'm already on the 4th gear. I'm not even on.
On the 4th gear. Okay.
Yeah, I'm already. I'm fully ready.
All right. So just for the sake of the audience, by the time this interview airs, there might be a change in Milind's status. Might be the candidate from South Bombay. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. But on to a personal question. You spoke of your late father, Mr. Milind Deora, who I also knew. Very respected politician, very important for the Congress, a stalwart. Before making this switch, I'm sure you thought very hard of what Murli Bhai would have said or thought of this switch.
I did, and it was the one issue which played heavily on my mind was, of course, I had to salvage what I represent as a politician, and I had to be able to find a path for myself to contribute more effectively. But yes, I did keep. It was weighing heavily on my mind. What would my father have said? But I realized that ultimately, my father and my own politics, and the flashbacks that came into my mind were the conversations I've had with him over the years, even before I entered politics, much after I entered politics. And ultimately, he believed very strongly that politics is about being able to bring about a constructive change. Issues that were close to his heart, most certainly Mumbai, most certainly economic growth, prosperity. Of course, he was interested in issues like foreign policy, etc. He always believed you have to have a platform through which you can bring meaningful change. And he always had tremendous self-respect and self-confidence. So he always believed that, that politics is a two-way street. You respect your leadership, you respect your party and leadership have to respect you also. Loyalty is a two-way street. And so in that sense, I felt that, the fact that I'm not finding a way to express myself politically constructively in the way that I was being able to do 20 years, and for many reasons. I think the party has changed for better or worse. People of India will decide. And I was getting a platform where I was being told that we want you to constructively contribute. I knew I had his blessings.
Okay.
So I'm very confident. I was very confident before I left the Congress. I'm very confident now, almost 2 months after I've left the Congress,
Right.
that he would have been very proud and very happy with my decision.
Okay, that's good. Is your mom happy with your decision?
Absolutely. My entire family is happy, and my friends are happy. And more than anything, I'm happy. If I have power now, I want to share that power. I want to utilize that power.
Okay.
So in that sense, I feel empowered. I feel recognized.
Recognized.
And in any profession, that's very important.
Yeah.
Whether you're somebody, regardless of what you do, if you were feeling unrecognized for your talent, for your contribution, you were feeling unrewarded, in some cases, if you are feeling deliberately targeted, that's not a healthy environment to be a part of.
Okay.
It has many levels of negativity attached to it. So now things have changed.
Right.
Now I'm in a system where I'm feeling rewarded, I'm feeling recognized, I'm feeling empowered. I feel that what were considered weaknesses in the Congress are now being seen as my strengths, which I always believed were my strengths.
All right. Like such as?
Well, for example, my wanting to encourage economic growth, bring investments to Mumbai, Maharashtra, was seen as, in some ways, my connections, let's say, with different constituencies, were seen as negatives.
Why would they be seen?
I don't know. Again, I don't want to go into
Yes,
but I think the one line I would say is that I think the Congress took a very sharp turn to the left, very sharp and extreme turn, and the Congress that I knew was the Congress of Dr. Manmohan Singh, the Congress of my father, which believed that reform not to benefit only business and profit, but to benefit the common man. When my father fought to open the insurance sector to the insurance industry to the private sector, today, 25 years later, the biggest beneficiary is the common man. In politics, you do have to, when you're in opposition, I understand parties say something different from what they say when they're in government. But it was a perpetual 10-year trend where the Congress was just shedding the reform agenda. To me, the fact that in 2016, the Congress, the country saw the 25th anniversary of economic reforms. In 2021, the country saw the 30th anniversary of economic reforms. I believe that the Congress should have celebrated that, should have commemorated that. There was a great legacy of the Congress and of Dr. Manmohan Singh in particular, of Narasimha Rao. And there was an embarrassment to do that. So those things to me show me that the party has moved. It's not that individuals have moved ideologically. The party has ideologically shifted.
So the party is shifted to the left. You feel more recognized, you feel more utilized, you feel your talents are being utilized here, and you definitely feel more appreciated. And I can see that you have been very busy. It's only been 2 months, and your 2-month report card is quite strong. I mean, you've been to Davos, you've been to Dubai, you've spoken about investments in Mumbai. But just one last question on a personal note. The Congress did give you a launch pad. Do you think you'll maintain personal ties with Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi, or that's...
No, look, I'm not here. As I said, I have nothing to do, I'm not against anyone personally. I don't have anything but good wishes for even my opponents. I don't treat anybody in politics as my enemy. I've never have. That's not been my family's politics. So I'm all for in fact, my first interview when I left the Congress was, I hope the Congress improves. I hope the Congress reforms and takes a hard look at the mirror and understands what the real problems and accepts it, and not sticks its neck in the sand. And if they do that, at the very least, the country will get a better opposition. I believe the country deserves that.
So you were MOS for IT, and we were in the shipping ministry as well. And when you joined ShivSena, a lot of analysts said that Shinde's ShivSena needed a leader who could represent the party on the national and international stage. Someone who's urbane, English speaking, foreign educated, right? And then immediately after joining, you went to Davos, you went to the UAE, you spoke to the UAE royal family about investments in Mumbai and Maharashtra. So essentially, you feel that is what you bring to the table. You can represent them internationally, foreign educated.
Well, sure. I'm not sure if that's the only sort of mandate that they have for me, but certainly if that is certainly those are bonuses and advantages, and in a sense there's a complementary fit. ShivSena is a regional party. Its agenda is primarily the development of Mumbai, of Maharashtra. Yes, my politics is local, but it's also national. It's in some ways also international. It's also global. I do watch trends globally. I do think I have the ability, or I try to develop the ability to understand how global factors can affect local politics and local outcomes, or how local outcomes can have a global impact. So if I can bring those experiences to the table, I don't think there's they would see that as a negative. I think they see that as a positive. But certainly there is also an agenda of development. The chief minister, for example, he for example in Mumbai, he believes very strongly in my conversations with him that why does Mumbai have potholes? And the reason we have potholes is because there's a contractor politician nexus that has existed for 25 years in Mumbai, where you want roads to be repaired regularly because each repair means money to a politician. And so he's trying to now concretize roads. So you do it once, you won't have to do it again. He's experimenting with different ways to stop this menace of, say, potholes, which affects motorists. He feels very strongly in building public infrastructure for Mumbai. He's a man who's come from very, very humble beginnings. He was an auto rickshaw driver, and now he's gone on to become Chief Minister of Maharashtra. So he's a man who wants to get things done. And he also consults me on many issues relating to development, on ideas. I was in Davos at the same time as him, and there are many people, of course, who I introduced to him at the Maharashtra Pavilion and said, maybe we can explore bringing these people, and people walked away impressed.
Yeah, well, Mumbai definitely needs improved infrastructure. I know we have the coastal road, the Trans Harbour link, and all that is happening. But like you said, simple things like potholes, right? I mean, and the way that Mumbai gets damaged during the monsoons. These are things that shouldn't happen.
But see, Anushka, also Mumbai is the point I've actually always made, and I also believe when we talk of this, local, national versus global, I really believe that Mumbai's competition is no longer Delhi or a city in Gujarat or Bengaluru or Chennai or Hyderabad. I think that we have to aspire, we have to think that our competition is Dubai.
Yeah.
We have to think that our competition is Singapore on the east. And so we have to aspire to compete against these regions. If we really want to create jobs, we really want to bring investments, you have to think out of the box. And so we are thinking on those lines, and so let's see.
Yeah. So you think this government's approach, this party's approach is more proactive, more sort of forward thinking than your former party?
I think that this party, this alliance, and again with ShivSena and BJP, I've seen, for example, for 20 years, I tried, for instance, in 2004, in my first election campaign, Anushka, you may remember, to push for the Trans Harbour Sea Link, which connects Mumbai, has already connected Mumbai to the hinterland, and I sensed a massive seriousness in the NDA government to get this done. Unfortunately, from 99 onwards, I was not a politician, but 99 onwards, when the Congress NCP government was in power, it took a change in government to implement that project. And I believe that project is a game changer for the city of Mumbai. I think this government is a government which knows how to execute fast.
Right.
Sometimes it's not the politicians who conceptualize. It's sometimes bureaucrats with limited exposure. So keeping a check on a vision, helping shape that vision, helping conceive a vision, is something which is very critical. Now, I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I think I'm trying to bring some global best practices to the table.
Of course, development comes with environmental factors also, right? Which brings me to this issue of the Mahalaxmi Racecourse redevelopment, where now the BMC wants to take a part of the land and create some sort of theme park or open space. But there has been resistance from petitioners, from environmentalists, saying that how do we know, how does the government guarantee that you're not going to have another sort of complex, a building complex, or is this some sort of builder lobby involved in it? So clearly there is some apprehension, though the government has said, no, that's not our intention, we wanted like a central park, like open space. But this is a bit of a contentious issue. How do you reassure the citizens that we will have open spaces?
Firstly, I've gone into great detail on this plan, and it's unfortunate because what happens is the people who are playing politics on this issue are the ones who suggested building a theme park in 2013. What has happened is the racecourse was a tenant of the BMC. Technically, the racecourse was a tenant of the people of Mumbai and Maharashtra and of India. That lease with the racecourse and the BMC expired in 2013, over a decade ago. The BMC in the last 11 years was sleeping. It should have renewed that lease. It failed to do that for whatever reason. I can also make political points, but it failed to do that for whatever reason. Today, there's a move to renew that lease between the BMC and the racecourse and allow the racecourse to coexist. The racecourse also does bring certain economic activity to the city of Mumbai. It has some benefits also for the city of Mumbai. There's no doubt it creates jobs, it generates revenue for the government. But the government's plan is to bring 120 acres, which right now the public of Mumbai has access to a walking track, and it has access to some parts of the racecourse land, which are really, I don't want to get into specific number, but far, far less than 120 acres. This plan is to take 120 acres, connect it to the Coastal Roads Park, which is about 170 acres, and essentially create about 300 acres of open spaces, gardens. You can call it a central park, you can call it a public park, you can call it a people's park, you can call it an urban forest, but which is reserved for open spaces. Right. So there's no question, nobody's brazen to take land which is reserved for open spaces and build a building on it. I understand that people have an aversion to the BMC. The BMC, as I mentioned, has a very shoddy track record over the last 25 years. So when someone says the BMC is going to build a park, people don't have confidence. But Anushka, I've noticed with the right leadership, even the BMC, which I've been the biggest critic of, and I will continue to remain a critic of if they don't improve, can make amends and do well. Think of 120 acres of open space connected to 175 acres of open space built with the coastal road. About 300 acres of contiguous land will be connected through underground tunnel. What that will do to the people of Mumbai and to the people of South Mumbai. Now, what should that open space look like? Should you have water bodies? Should you have, public boating? Should you just have gardens? Should you have meadows? What should you have on that? That is something which will be open to the public. There's no way the BMC can build on that land. Okay. Maybe they can build a toilet, which you'll have to build obviously. Yeah. But it will be on the likes of a central park. Okay. On a much smaller area of land. The Chief Minister has recently inaugurated a Thane Central Park. Please take a look at the visuals of that park. Oh, sure. It's a one of its kind. Imagine having something like that in the heart of South Mumbai. But right now it's exclusively for the racecourse. They just allow citizens to walk there. This new plan has pushed the racecourse a bit. It's allowed them to coexist, but it's given more land for the people of Mumbai.
I think people are skeptical that, will this land be sold to developers? But you're saying no, there's no way that people are going to be so brazen. But
if that happens, that there's land is sold to developers and that on the racecourse right now there's towers coming up, I'll be the first one to lead an agitation on their behalf.
Okay.
So there's nothing of that sort. As I said, this is fear mongering. And unfortunately, a young friend of mine, Aditya Thackeray, who is trying to create an issue on this out of nothing. It's unfortunate because actually in 2013, when the lease ended, his father and him suggested a theme park.
We have your guarantee that it's not going to be taken over by builders. Because in the past, people can be pretty brazen in India. We know that, but it's good. And you're saying it here, right. So, moving on to the ideology of your new party, right? I've seen on your Instagram, your social media, you talk about unity and diversity, you talk about democracy and about, of course, being fair and equal and no discrimination. Do you think, obviously your new party is more Hindu-centric, but do you think you'll be able to uphold the same values in your new party?
My values have always been to respect all religions, all communities, all languages. And my experience again with the Chief Minister in particular is he's extremely open to anyone. I'll give you a small example. He recently announced a scheme for madrasas, which are the Islamic schools, to modernize them, a state government scheme to give each madrasa 10 lakh rupees. Now, if he was a right-wing Hindutva anti-Muslim party, why would he do that? What is the ideology, for example, of the erstwhile ShivSena? What is the ideology of Congress? Congress was fully opposed to ShivSena. They aligned with them in power in Maharashtra. Why? Just to come to power. They are aligning with an Aam Aadmi party whose whole basis for starting a political party was to oppose Congress. They aligned with Sharad Pawar, whose whole basis of starting a party and leaving the Congress was to oppose Sonia Gandhi's, what he claimed were her foreign origins. So I think ultimately, Anushka, in politics, unfortunately, yes, the lines get blurred. But ultimately, who you are as a person, what you stand for, what you believe in, that's very, very critical. And when I was in the Congress, when the Congress was moving to the far left on social issues, on economic issues, I still stayed in the center or believed in the issues I believed. In this party, I remain who I am. But I can assure you that the ShivSena led by Mr. Eknath Shinde is a party where he's very clear to me. He is not discriminating on language. He's not discriminating on religion. He is not discriminating on economic strata. He believes everyone has a role to play in the development of Mumbai and Maharashtra. It's a regional party, but there is a national emphasis also. Right. So I don't see any contradiction whatsoever.
Okay.
And as I said, for me personally, my ideology is to serve the people of Mumbai, Maharashtra and India.
By being inclusive, obviously, and not having...
By being inclusive, by serving everyone.
I remember when you fought, from South Mumbai, the Congress candidate.
In fact, I would be very honest with you. I find what the Congress is doing today as divisive. I find the Congress today, unfortunately, Congress was a party which tried to say we should rise above caste. Today, the Congress is saying we must divide on caste.
Census, caste.
And it's not just a caste census. The rhetoric is extremely divisive in the sense of saying which caste you belong to, which caste do you belong to, what are you getting, what are you not getting. That is not the Congress I've seen 10 years, 20 years, 30 years ago.
No, but I remember when you fought elections from South Mumbai, the Congress ticket, you had, of course, the Muslim support, Muslim vote. Do you think if you fight elections again tomorrow with under Eknath Shinde?
I would certainly hope to have their support, and I would certainly go to them if I'm fighting the election on behalf of the NDA and tell them very clearly that I'm your man. I represent your interests. I'm here to help you. Mr. Shinde is here to help you, and please vote for me in as much measure as you did before, and to every community.
Okay. Unfortunately, in the wake of, in the aftermath of Pran Pratishtha, we did see some, not in the South Mumbai constituency, we did see some riots, communal tensions and all that. That's
unfortunate, and that's something which sadly is the extremes on either side. I'm not an extremist, so I believe in fighting extremists on both sides. I don't like extremists on the right, I don't like extremists on the left. I support ideas on the left, I support good ideas on the right, and I think that's the only way in divisive, polarized times like today, not so much in India but more so even internationally. The only way to go forward is to bring everybody together, and that's always been my style of politics.
Absolutely. Last couple of things. I know that you are a spiritual person, right, and you're quite keen on or interested in Hindu spirituality, Advaita philosophy. I've seen your posts often, even when you were with Congress, on social media, and you do post things on Janmashtami. You've posted with Baba Ramdev, and on International Yoga Day, and I know that somewhere that you take an interest in spirituality. Did that ever cause a problem for you, these kind of posts when you were with the Congress? Would they say, oh, he's very right way?
See, firstly, Anushka, what happens is, in politics, you are expected to be categorized by ideology. In religion, you are expected to be categorized by faith and by which God you worship. I always have believed that ideology and religion, these are boxes that divide people, that don't bring them together. I believe in good ideas, and I believe in spirituality, and I believe spirituality transcends any religion. I believe good ideas transcend any ideology. If there's, as I said, if there's a good idea on the right, borrow from it. If there's a good idea from the left, borrow from it. And there are good ideas on both sides. Certainly not on the extremes of both. If there are good spiritual practices in religion A, religion B, religion C, religion D, borrow from them all. Those who associate anyone who is spiritual as linking them only to one religion or linking them to one ideology are in fact, I think, demeaning and undermining the inclusive, universal message of spirituality. Spirituality to me is a path to realizing the inclusivity and the universality of everything.
Do you do any sadhana, like spiritual practice daily, like japa or yoga?
I do a little bit, not very often, but there are a few things. There are different people who give you good messages. So sometimes you feel like chanting a mantra. Sometimes you feel like just staying quiet. Sometimes there are different people. Nowadays, the good thing about social media, what I like the most about social media, which has its own negatives and disadvantages. What I take away the most from social media, a lot of people I follow are, again, I would say spiritual people, teachers, philosophical handles, and there are many things. Stoicism has great lessons to learn from. In fact, there's a huge similarity between Stoicism and what was happening with early Vedanta and what they call Sanatan Dharma in India. The most beautiful thing of ancient Indian spirituality is that what is meditation really is no mind. And coming to music, it's like the song from the Beatles album in the album Revolver, which is their 1965 album. Their last song, Tomorrow Never Knows. John Lennon's lyrics, turn off your mind, relax and float downstream. And that's basically, the Beatles were very quick to understand the basic values of meditation, which are really turn off your mind. I fundamentally believe that science is increasingly sounding more and more like what we read about, what were, the ancient texts 5,000-10,000 years ago.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I think I don't like these labels of anyone who shuts these things out and ultimately shutting themselves out.
Going on, lastly, to your music. You are a wonderful guitar player. We've all heard you many times. You played with the likes of Buddy Guy. Does your new party leader know what a great musician you are?
I'm not sure he does.
Okay.
I think he's heard it from a few people, but no, not yet.
No? Are you going to introduce him to some of your music?
Fortunately for him, he hasn't heard me play. So,
come on, don't be so humble.
Again, these are things these are very personal things, and they'll obviously continue in my life.
Okay, last thing is, can you give us a wish list for a new India or for issues that you will take up when you're in Parliament?
I mean, the wish list for me, one is the issues that will matter to me going forward are the same issues that mattered to me for the last 20 years or even before I got into politics. Certainly, South Mumbai, serving the people of South Mumbai, fighting for a better Mumbai for everyone. Ultimately, whether I'm a politician, whether I'm in power, whether I'm not in power, I live in Mumbai. I want Mumbai to be better. I want the air to be cleaner. I want more parks. I want better infrastructure for my child. So fighting for Mumbai, fighting for the people of South Mumbai, bringing more investment to Maharashtra, and fighting for India. These are the 3 or 4 issues which will continue. I really believe that India is extremely well poised globally. There are many reasons for that. I think some of those reasons are our own proactive policies. And I think that this is really India's time to grab the bull by the horns and go all out. So I'm very optimistic about India. I'm extremely optimistic about Maharashtra. I think that Maharashtra will continue to be a very critical component in India's economic growth. We have to think about our strength as a financial hub, a creative services hub. We still have the entertainment industry here. We still have the financial services industry here. How can we build on those capabilities? So these are things which I will continue to represent going forward.
Thank you so much
Thank you,
for
Anushka.
joining us, Milind. Wonderful discussion, and
Thank
wish
you.
you all the best, and looking forward to seeing you in Parliament.
Thank you. Thanks, Anushka. Thanks so much for having me.